It's absolutely no chance you slapping me pivot, button your code, and stroll off that stage. They must go to 4 business breaks. I bet a large portion of you actually recollect the notorious Oscar slap in the event that you don't remember. It's when Will Smith approached Chris Rock and slapped him before the Oscar swarm. Many individuals were stunned and frustrated about his way of behaving. And one of his most vocal pundits is Steve Harvey, who was exceptionally genuine about his consternation viewing Smith's brutal activities. True to form, Smith was distraught about it and applauded back. And let me let you know he wasn't messed around, so what will Smith tell Steve Harvey? And how did the host respond? We should find out. To summarize it, Steve Harvey was despondent about Will Smith's savage response to Chris Rock's joke during the Oscars. He tended to Will Smith's famous slap as the Oscars in a discourse at Georgia State College, almost 2 months after the fact. After the embarrassment advanced into the titles of each and every media source, as per the Atlanta Diary Constitution, which previously covered the school occasion. The Family Fight moderator named the entertainer's activity of hunkmoo and said he's lost a ton of regard for him. I realize huge words, right? You slapped TD Jakes. He'll choose not to retaliate. You slap me, assuming you sit back in your seat. Jacob would need to move far removed. That is the kind of Christian I am, Harvey said during his discourse at Georgia State College. Anyway, fans were not dazzled with the host proclamation. As a matter of fact, they brought up how Steve was not able to address somebody about their way of behaving, since he isn't the most delightful individual in Hollywood. Another sound uncovered how the host thinks Chris' kid about Jada Smith was not worth the slap he got for that. He didn't do that. That joke was not deserving of the response. On the off chance that he planned to have a response, I believe that Will ought to have done the man thing, would move toward him subsequently in that press room, and to slap Chris in. He could have slapped Chris in the press room and perceived how it went. One fan cooked him on Twitter, saying it's acceptable for Steve Harvey to safeguard his family, call Will Smith a troublemaker. We does likewise to safeguard his family. Steve, you owe Will a conciliatory sentiment. You would have dozed the out of Chris, assuming that he was discussing your significant other. They even pulled up a video where Smith referenced how long he would go. He heard somebody kid about his significant other. I will kill everyone in here about your butt. Kindly comprehend that about the manner in which I love you, Marjorie Elaine. You comprehend me yet? Harvey got out whatever he said, and shockingly, or perhaps not, he isn't the main VIP who communicated their mistake about what occurred. As a matter of fact, there are lots of them who voiced their dismay about the whole disaster. One is Wanda Sykes, who referenced how she felt disregarded after the episode. And I only felt so terrible for my companion, Chris, and it was nauseating. During an appearance on Alan Sykes, uncovered that Rock had apologized to her for eclipsing her work, which puzzled her. Also, the way in which confounded she was after Smith was never accompanied external, the setting in the wake of being fierce, and for them to allow him to remain there and partake in the remainder of the show and acknowledge his honor. I resembled how net. Is this the principal thing he said was, I'm so grieved. And I'm like, for what reason are you saying sorry, Sykes? Said she. That makes sense of how terrible Chris felt for destroying the whole show and for making it about him when many individuals endeavored to give the crowd an astounding night. I'm so grieved. And I'm like, for what reason are you saying sorry? He's like, it should be your night. It was assumed you and Amy and Regina, you all were doing really extraordinary work. I'm so sorry. This is currently going to be about this. Rock quite apologized for telling the wisecrack, and Smith likewise communicated lament for his direct. Yet while Sex recognizes that Smith apologized to Shake, she is as yet hanging tight for her own. I realize he was sorry to Chris. Yet we were the host, said Sykes. This is our home. We're welcoming you in. We will ensure you live it up. And nobody has apologized of us. Amy Schumer likewise shared her own considerations about the occasion when it happened. She was facilitating with Chris and Wanda. So I get any reasonable person would agree she was in the best spot to remark about it. She additionally expounded on her entire experience on Instagram and referenced it in 2 or 3 meetings she showed up in. After the occasion, as a matter of fact, she discussed it during the Howard Hart show and underlined how it was not the most ideal experience to see Will slap Chris from where they were behind the stage. It was so disturbing. Like, and individuals ridiculed me for saying that it was damaging, yet I don't think it was damaging for me. I think it was damaging for us all. Like, it was like it just was humor. Additionally shared how confused she was after individuals were all the while applauding and standing when Smith accepted his honor. When he previously attacked someone else minutes prior, it truly felt like the circumstance room. Definitely, like of satire, like we are in general, very much like watching the screen. And we're similar too. And afterward he won, and all of us resemble like everyone, simply where everyone was only sort of amazed the entire thing. And better believe it, Mila Kunis felt something very similar, and referenced how flabbergasted she was that such countless individuals in the group actually hopped up when Smith accepted his Oscar after he had slapped Rock. Not confronting me was an easy decision. Yet the thing was stunning to me was the number of individuals that stood up. Then again, Adam Sandler, who was extremely near Chris Rock, additionally imparted his insight about what occurred. While the conversation about Rock's joke is blend, Sandler accepts Chris did a very great job during his season of stage. He even contrasted it with the Super Bowl and had only commendation for the comic. The buzz around the sum of it didn't subside, yet just multiplied before very long. This is on the grounds that a ton of celebs began involving the scandalous Oscar chunk as a joke. Whenever the open door emerges, Schumer had kidded about it during the Oscars, which he needed to go out minutes after the occurrence. It effectively facilitates the strain. So I suppose that is okay. I've been stepping out of that Bugman ensemble. Did I miss anything? Jimmy Kimmel, who was accountable for facilitating the current year's Oscar, didn't get the opportunity to slip and discuss the most discussed debate heat-going year on the Oscar stage in his speech. The host said, "We have severe strategies set up on the off chance that anybody in this venue commits a demonstration of viciousness. Anytime during the show, you will be granted the Oscar for Best Entertainer, Unfamiliar, allowed to allow a 19 brief talk." After the whole disaster made it into the web, individuals couldn't quit discussing it, and soon enough they were requesting an expression of remorse from Will's side. Some even requested that the foundation disavowed the Oscar he won as an outcome of his cruel activities. The foundation put out an explanation through a tweet, saying that it doesn't support viciousness in any structure, yet true to form this was sufficiently not, and fans requested more suitable activity. After an exhaustive thoroughly consider, and obviously tension from fans who needed only equity, they chose to at last restriction the entertainer from the Oscars for 10 long years. They likewise conceded that they didn't resolve the issue appropriately when it worked out, and vowed to invest some energy to acquire the trust they lost back. Not long after Will offered his own expression at Uncovered, he chose to leave the foundation for good. In a video he posted, he communicated his expression of remorse to every individual who was impacted by his activities, particularly Chris Rock Smith. Likewise said he was available to any sort of intervention among them, saying in conclusion the entertainer apologized to his family, who he said was extraordinarily impacted by his unforgiving activities. Obviously, he remembered to specify individuals who were available during the show and different VIPs who were not satisfied with his brutality against an individual craftsman. Yet things raised after he posted a TikTok, apparently poking a fun at the Oscar piece. Observe this was after he'd gotten lots of reaction from fans and celebs remembering Steve Harvey for the video. He should be visible serenely standing by listening to another TikTok maker make sense of a totally off-the-wall practice. As he listens, the other individual in the video can be heard saying, "Did you had any idea about that? You can pick any article, take a gander at it," and requested its thought process from you, Smith. Then At that point, looked out of the way away from his camera as he paid attention to the individual giving ideas of what sorts of items he could use for this exercise. He then came to over and took out his Oscar prize while giving the camera an excessively profound articulation prior to returning his consideration. Regarding the sculpture, he shut the video by opening his mouth, maybe to ask the award its thought process of him, very much like with the guidance on the video. He was watching referenced before, thus fans blamed the humorist for trifling with the entire occurrence and not actually lamenting what he did, even after he previously released a conciliatory sentiment. One fan composed, "I love Will Smith as an entertainer, yet we should be genuinely, the man had forever been really computing about his picture." And vocation up until the Oscar slap that whatever could have said his crowd was a flat-out no for him. Beside, Will fans are additionally inquisitive about what the individual on the less than desirable end felt, and got some information about it each and every time they get the opportunity to get some information about it. In the end, the comic got tired assuming he believes that one thing should be clear: it harms during a live Netflix parody. Unique Stone talked for a long time about the 2022 Foundation grants occurrence and uncovered how months after the episode, he can in any case feel the aggravation from the slap he took. While it was really clear he was annoyed about it, the comic had kidded about the whole occurrence on numerous occasions. Whenever he first resolved the issue, he made a full stand-up satire drama spinning around the slap that turned into a web sensation inside the space of minutes. Rock stresses how he accepts Smith participates in